I'm from the RSJ School at the University of Nevada, Reno, and I'm here to interview Mr. Joey Gilbert. So just to carry on with the flow of the interview, maybe something you've been asked a lot, but why did you choose to get into boxing, to fighting? What appealed to you?
Actually, what appealed to me was not getting beat up anymore because I had a little bit of a mouth. I was kind of sarcastic at Minogue, and I was about 5'3", about 5'4" maybe, and I didn't do so well in any of the fights I had started in the past or had, I guess, instigated. So I didn't really go to boxing because I wanted to, continue being like some tough guy. I actually went in there on a bet. A friend of mine in the fraternity house bet me that I would not do well in boxing, and I walked on to the team. I walked up there for the first time my second year at UNR, so my sophomore year, and I just loved it. I walked in there, and the first day I ever tried it, I just probably never missed a day in the gym for the next 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
That's probably true. And it's something that really bit me, and I just think the best way I can explain it is just something I could do. I mean, I can't really, it'd be too hard to explain in an interview like this, but I understood the point system. I understood what it took to win as a fighter, and I think a lot of it was the most basic stuff. It was just hard work, dedication, and just that work ethic that we've discussed. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was just about something new that I really loved, and I also liked the fact that, like I said, I wasn't very tough, and then I got to the University of Nevada, and it is the University of Nevada, Coach Sanchez. Sorry, lost the cannon. A little upset right now. Composure. Okay. Didn't do so well. Learned how to fight, and I grew about 4.5 inches, 5 inches from the time I graduated Minogue to the time I joined the boxing team, which is weird, but I did. I really grew, and so I just got in better shape. I was stronger. I was more fit, and I walked on and just loved it. And I've been a fan and just participant of the sport ever since.
Wow. So it just really clicked with you.
Yeah, it just clicked. It was something that I think fighting is, as a lot of people know, is like you either have a chin or you don't. They talk about like a guy gets hit in the face hard and he drops. Mm-hmm. Now that's a double-edged sword because the brain's still getting bruised and damaged and rattled in your head. But I had a good chin, and I had the work ethic, and so it just made sense. It was something I could do, and like I said, there's a lot of people that might think they'd be a great fighter, but they get clipped and they drop, and you got to be able to take the shot. So
pretty impressive.
Something if you didn't know, now you know.
Yeah. And I mean, now look where you are now. So as a lawyer, what provoked that career path, career choice? Again,
I mean, Nevada is a unique place. The University of Nevada is a very unique place up here in the north, and I think that's a lot to be said for the people here. Mm-hmm. Nowhere else in the country that I've experienced do you have access to elected leaders and people of the community and people of the state so easily as you do here in the state. And I think that's so unique. And a lot of my personal mentors, guys that own Western Nevada Supply like Rick Revilio, and people that I look to my whole life, Sig Rogich, who's a graduate of the school and was in the journalism school, who's been my mentor since I was at the University of Nevada, are the reason why I've stayed and why I came here and why I got into law, because they've always been a presence and they influenced me. And what really happened was Mills Lane, who was a boxing referee back in the day, Mills Lane used to come down to the Nevada boxing gym, him and another guy named Vic Draculich, and they'd say this stuff to me like, you need to go to law school. I'd say, why? I had no intention of really going to law school at the time. And I just, like I said, the mentors and the people that encouraged me, explained to me what you could do with a law degree, you didn't have to necessarily practice law, you could do anything. And it was a combination of the movie Jerry Maguire with Tom Cruise, and those guys that I went to law school, because I actually went to law school with the intention of becoming a sports agent and working in sports. And I still have every intention of doing more in that area, but it's just not, it's not like they show in the movies. It does just, you don't just walk out of law school and they hand you like, an NFL contract, so.
You gotta work for it a bit.
So, just you slowly kind of walking into it, but I think the simple answer is that, the simple answer is that law and law school came from mentors, local mentors, and the opportunity to not have like a ceiling above my head. I wanted to do something that if I wanted to not necessarily practice law, I had a degree that would help me in business, and I think a law degree does that.
Yeah. Very
So
cool.
that's the answer.
Could you describe how you would prepare for a fight? Any rituals you had?
Oh boy, I had lots of rituals. I mean, the one thing about athletes is I don't know if it's necessarily superstitious or you just do things a certain way and then you believe in it. So I had all kinds of things I had to do. One of the things that's kind of like was my test was there's a step mill. It's like the thing, like think of an escalator that just keeps moving, and they have the step mills at the fitness facilities. And when I used to be able to run at the highest level, if it went to 15 or 25, whatever the highest level was, for 36 minutes, because 36 a fight is 12 rounds, 3 minutes a round, so 36 minutes. So when I could do that without stopping at the highest level, I felt I was prepared, and that's quite a challenge because you're actually literally like running on it, and so that was one of my rituals when I had to be able to do that. I always had like a fight meals that I prepared. I had steak and eggs. It's like my stable meal, and so and probably just certain juices. I had to juice. I had to make certain juices, have certain meals, and do certain kinds of training a certain way, obviously, and get a certain feeling from that, confidence from it before I felt really prepared.
Wow, okay.
That and training in the elevation. I always stayed here. I stayed local. I mean, I trained in Tampa, Florida, 6 months out of the year, but before fights, I would always come home here and get up to Tahoe, and I had camps up and around the Tahoe area and would train in elevation, and it actually, I think, made a big difference.
Oh,
So.
very cool. And I mean now, and like going back to being a lawyer now, if you could how do you prepare for a court case? So does it correlate?
Yeah,
preparing for a match?
absolutely. I mean, I think it all correlates. I think it all carries over. The same preparation I've used in fighting, in boxing, I had to use to pass the bar exam, which I had to take 3 times. Wasn't exactly an easy test. Missed by half a point in a point each time because that's just how it is. And I petitioned the Supreme Court for a regrade, and they told me no, and so I had to retake it. And I think that resilience, that tenacity, it carries with you. And the one thing I would never do, I mean, my one pet peeve as a fighter, and this thing I still get annoyed with today, is seeing, well, really any athlete out of shape. Like someone dogging it, someone breathing hard, someone not able to, I guess, perform at the level they should perform because of their own, I guess, lack of dedication. So for me, preparation is probably the most important thing. And if there's one thing about me is I will definitely over-prepare. And so I kind of do the same thing with, I definitely do the same thing with my law cases. My clients are prepared. My cases are prepared. My files are done properly, staffed properly. I'm probably one of the only attorneys in this town that has as many staff members. I have 9 people here that work for me, and it's more for customer service than anything because I could do a lot of it myself. I just couldn't do it as timely, as efficiently, as effectively, and I think that when people are in a jam and when they have something going on, that's what they need most, is someone to be able to step up and handle the problem. So the staff I have is there to make sure that I'm prepared, to make sure my clients are prepared, to make sure the office is prepared to represent people the way they need to be represented, and I guess that does carry over because you got to look at you want to look at what your goal is, what your objective is, and then how do you get there? And I think that is something that I've carried with me, from boxing.
Yeah. Almost a surprise to I think many of us.
Yeah.
Who've looked you up like, wow, like, oh, okay, like, so boxer, before and lawyer now, like, how does that happen? How does that work?
Well, the other thing too that's very interesting about being a lawyer, and at least the type of law I do, is that you always have changes. Like there's nothing is ever really what you're maybe told, or maybe a client tells you one thing, but the police reports or accident reports or whoever it is will be a little different, right? So you're being thrown curveballs, and it's all about adjusting. It's all about making adjustments and adapting to whatever environment you're in. And I think that, again, anything short of that judge jumping the bench and charging me, I'd still even be prepared for that. I mean, what's going to really happen? So you get prepared, you get in there, and I think that's an important part of it, is just having that tenacious, confident, prepared belief in yourself going into anything. And it couldn't be any higher stakes than law.
Right. Wow.
So
Very
that's,
cool. Could you I don't know, I mean, I know we talked about how you prepared. Now when you were in a match, what did you see? What did you think? What did you hear? And now that we've kind of talked about how it does correlate to a court case, does the same feeling arrive when you're in the court?
I got to tell you about that. It's just an absolute, there's no same feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been told by many attorneys, wait till you get in there with the jury,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to see, you're just going to get this, it's just this high, and it's not anything like that picture walking to the ring right there, or holding up one of those belts. It's just, sorry, they never did that. So now that I've done what they've done, I can tell you it's not even in the same ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. It's fun. I mean, definitely, I do think of things the same like in court, but at the same time, I mean, I'm in court wearing a suit. If there's a problem and they're throwing some kind of, some kind of crazy combination, some kind of crazy, twist to it, you just deal with it. It's made everything a lot easier in life, I think. Honestly, I'm very fortunate to have been a boxer, to have been through the programs and training I've been through, because it's made stuff like court or any type of a hearing, whether it be an arbitration or a mediator or anything like that, way easier. Because when something unexpected hits you, in the fight game in boxing, you got to stay composed and controlled and focused and strategic, or you're done. And it's the same thing in law. I mean, you never want to show your cards. You never want to look unprepared, or even if you are in a situation where you might not know the answer, you might not have, everything you need. You got to adapt. You just got to make those changes, think on your feet quickly, and that's one thing that I do notice in there is that, if I was in the ring and someone was doing something we hadn't prepared for, was being able to be cognizant of that and be able to break that down and say, okay, I need to change this, I need to change that. So I think, comparing those two in that little aspect, yeah, I think there's a similar feeling. There's a similar feeling in that sense of it, but I definitely don't walk out of the courtroom the same way I walked out of the, it's just, those guys are silly.
Like a special match that you just can't get out of your head that you remember, the feeling of, could you describe one to me?
Oh yeah, I still would like to beat Jesse Brinkley's butt pretty bad. Yeah, that's the one that got away. I lost a big fight here in town, in 2009, to my nemesis. He's not even really my nemesis, actually one of my very good friends. I'd like to stab him in the neck with a pen, but in a good way. He's like a brother, and we had a war. I mean, we had a 12-round war. I broke my nose in the 5th round. It's actually on YouTube. You can look it up. It's a big bloody mess. I break my nose in the 5th round. I fight 7 more rounds with a broken nose, blood flying everywhere, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that if I would have quit, then it's a TKO, a technical knockout. And so the ref, who is actually someone I know and respect as a friend of mine, kept asking me in the corner, can you continue? Well, I mean, asking the guy, can I? If he would have asked me if I wanted to continue, that might have been a totally different answer. But he asked me if I could continue, and I kept saying yes, because I just wasn't gonna give up on that one. So I fought those 7 rounds with the broken nose. I lost the decision. I would love to rearrange Jesse's face for him tomorrow. So yeah, there's a fight that's in my mind. It's probably, and it doesn't help that he still sends me text messages, pictures of the front page of the paper, Brinkley, beats Gilbert. I mean, I'm talking front page. So he'll send that to me, and it's always nice to be in court and look down at my phone. I'm like, so yeah, that one kind of haunts me. Obviously, if I'm still thinking about it like that. So yeah, I'd love to have that rematch. I'd do it tomorrow, actually, to be honest with you. So pencil it in, girls. Pencil it in.
Now, just kind of moving away from this topic.
Take
me away. Could you explain to me your Get Active Foundation?
Oh man, so the Get Active Foundation is a work in progress, and it's something that has taken far more time than I wanted to take, but it comes from, originally I had the Joey Gilbert Foundation, which essentially it's this. It has to do with Get Active now in the Get Active Foundation is just about kids being active in their community, in their school, and then being active, And then obviously the counterpart to that was being able to balance whatever extracurricular activities or sports they're having or hobby with their schooling. And I think that's a very important thing that needs to happen, and that the reason I'm at where I'm at, oops, shouldn't touch my microphone. The reason I'm at where I'm at is because I was able to balance things. So I think kids need help with that. And today's ever-changing and always, busy and interrupting type society with our phones and our computers and whatever, I think kids need to learn how to do that. So that's what that foundation is about, is speaking to kids about what they eat, the activities they do, and then how they get involved with their schooling and their community.
Very cool. And how do you go about motivating young people to develop that confidence and the good judgment?
Are we okay? You guys are getting a look?
Wrap up after this question.
Okay, yeah. No
Okay.
worries.
Okay, wait, say that again?
I'm sorry. How do you go about motivating young people to develop a confidence and a habit?
How do I go about motivating people? Well, I don't really necessarily think that it's so much motivation as I usually start out by kind of asking them, what their goals are, what their dreams are, where they want to go, and then suggesting or laying out for them what it's going to take to get there, and then they start realizing, wow, that's a little more than I thought, and then empowering them to get there by helping them see the resources they need or reach out to the people. I mean, most people have a lot more resources than they think around them. It's just a matter of whether or not they're going to use them. So just trying to get them thinking about where they're going, how they're going to get there, and then I guess motivating them through the proper channels that are unique to each person. So I don't know, I think it's getting to know them a little bit, know about what they want to do, and then trying to show them how they can get there and whatever we can do to help.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Sure.
And I shall